film?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, brother?
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. Why don't you tell everybody what your name is and where you're from?
Hi everyone. I'm Fad, and I'm originally Nigerian, but I currently study for my master's in nanoengineering here in Istanbul.
And did you live your whole life in Nigeria? Because it's your sister who you're with, or who you're with?
My friend.
Your friend.
Yes.
And so she lives in Germany.
She does live in Germany. Yeah.
And so currently your home is in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But your friend lives in Germany.
Yeah.
So you never lived in Germany.
I never lived in Germany. I lived in Nigeria up until September last year,
Right.
when I moved to Istanbul for school, and I've been here ever since.
Got it. And so within Nigeria, did you move around much, or you were always in like the same sort of space?
So I did do a little bit of moving around in Nigeria, but I wouldn't say I explored the entire country, you know. So, I mean, for those that know Nigeria a little bit.
Well, that's what I'm about to ask. What's the population? Like, how big is Nigeria?
Incredibly big. Incredibly big. It has this very diverse cultural landscape. We have 6 geopolitical regions.
Oh, wow.
So we have the north central, the northeast, and northwest. We also have the southwest, and southeast.
And
so I grew up. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I grew up in the southwest. Within the southwest, I did a lot of traveling, but I also studied for my bachelor's in the north central. So I also traveled like within the north central as well. Those are the 2 major regions I have really been to.
And culturally, from region to region, does it vary? Like people are very different from the north to the south, to the east, to the west?
So very much.
Really?
In many different ramifications. So in the north, the predominant religion, for example, is Islam. So you have more Muslims there. We also have Christians. We also have some Christian-dominated, I would say, pockets of places there in the north. But you have that in the north. And in the south, it's more of a potpourri of Islam and Christianity and several other religions. But generally speaking, I would say that the landscape is that the north is a bit more conservative than the south. So that causes this bit of distinction in many different parts. You see it in the dressing, in the attitudes, in schooling and stuff like that.
And now, do people have opinions about people from the north or the south, where certain people feel like they're better than?
It's inevitable. You have those, but I mean, now that we have this globalization, so it doesn't just. I mean, the fact that we can now connect with people from different parts of the world, different cultures, also helps us to better introspect and see that we are more similar. We are more alike than we are different, right? And so we have that. So we are starting to have that bit of unity in our diversity, sort of. So.
Now, I'm a typical American where I really don't know much about the rest of the world. So, Nigeria as a whole, or specifically where you're from, let's say for the last 60 years, has it been peaceful? Has there been wars? Has there been conflicts? Has anybody attacked you from someplace else? Or is there more civil unrest, or is it a very peaceful place in general?
In general, I would say Nigeria has been more peaceful in the past 60 years, because we used to have we had wars up until 1970s.
And who were you warring with?
Sort of. We had this civil war within the country. It was internal unrest, so we had a region of the country trying to sort of succeed from the rest of the country. It caused these political tensions.
So it was political reasons they wanted to succeed?
Political reasons.
Not religious or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, there were those cultural undertones as well. Like I said, we are a very diverse people, and so people, at some points, the differences sort of boiled over, and some people wanted no part in the whole union. But for political reasons and for, maybe socioeconomic reasons as well, that just led to this really incredibly big civil war that we still feel the effects of till now. So at the moment, the vibe is still we are still trying to mend those relationships, promote this national unity and all that. And we still have rifts and stuff like that. But generally, we haven't had wars. However, we've had these lots of domestic terrorism.
Really?
Within the country.
Over what? For what reason?
I mean, You would hear, I mean, it depends on who you ask, actually.
Well, yeah,
There
so
are lots of stories out there. There are lots of conspiracies.
So the
but,
people who are committing the terrorism, what is their purpose? What are they trying to do?
I mean, they pronounce that they are Islamists.
Oh, okay.
For some of them, they are Islamists. For some of them, they are like, how do I put it? Like, they have like this allegiance to their ethnicities or their communities, and then they feel exploited maybe by the government or by other people, and they respond through violence and stuff like that. And because of the nature of our country, we also have like foreign bodies funding some of these people. From what we hear,
Sure,
we
sure.
have them funding them. We have weapons coming into the country, and then all of that just so we have these little pockets of terrorist groups and some domestic disturbances like that. And yeah, so it's
So within the
that's-
country, is there much support for these groups, like underground or overtly, or is the country pretty much? Are they very much outliers where?
Oh yes, they are. They are outliers. They are outliers. But it's undeniable that unfortunately the socio-economic condition of the country is such that you have young people who are easily impressionable that just get, I would say, like captured
Sure.
into these circles, and then they become terrorists from a very young age. And so unfortunately they don't run out of foot soldiers and stuff like that. But generally, I mean, I'm pretty sure like most people in the country would much rather like not
Not happen. Well,
have
that was sort of my next question. So, economically speaking, are there rich parts of Nigeria,
Yes.
or parts of Nigeria like any place else, or specifically where you grew up? Was it a wealthy area or a poor area, or somewhere in between?
I would say it is somewhere in between, for the reason that we have like rich people, but the way we live is such that you have poor people living in proximity to rich people,
Sure.
right? And so, for example, Lagos is like about the most popular city in the country, and in Lagos you have like the Victoria Island, you have Lekki, you have Ekpe. These are areas that are supposedly highbrow areas, but even within those areas, you
There's
have
poor
like not very wealthy people living there. Also in mainland Lagos, where I lived for most of my life, we also have like those pockets of places where wealthy people live, like estates and stuff like that. But just like streets away, you also have like really not so well-to-do
So
people
now,
living there.
these wealthy people, is this like legacy money, or did they become wealthy within the country in their lifetime?
Most of them are legacy money, so
Okay.
we call them old money.
Right, yeah, old,
Yes.
right, yeah, yeah.
So because I mean, there's a bit of history there. We have people whose families were like involved in the slave trade and all that, and then they had that big name that then became like big businesses and stuff like that. We also, of course, have families that made legitimate money and then passed it down from generation to generation, and so we have lots of those. But we also have, I mean, with the advent of tech and stuff, and Nigerians, we are a very, I would say, entrepreneurial people.
Sure.
So we have lots of young people like my age that are doing really well, especially in the tech ecosystem and in finance. And so they also have made lots of money. I mean, enough money to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with the big guys.
Sure.
I mean, and they made their money in one generation.
So now, does the government or just the economic sort of system of Nigeria support entrepreneurship and give you hope that if you go to school or you invent or you learn to program or whatever, that you have a way to get wealthy? Is that a dream, or is that a hope that people can have? Because here in Istanbul, I've talked to a lot of people where even if they did learn a skill, they feel like either the mob or the government or somebody's going to take all their money.
Yes.
And so, is there a hope when you're young that if I get a skill, if I become good at something, I can make money in my life and become wealthy, or at least well-to-do? Or is there an oppression sort of weighing on people that no matter what I do, I'll always struggle?
The truth is, there is that. There is, I mean, there's a lot more that could be done to sort of assure people that whatever money they earn, the truth is, in Nigeria, you could earn good money doing something like you love to do, and just like working. You know, you get a skill, you do good work, you could earn enough money to be stable and to be good. But the little problem, not so little problem, is that there is a lot of political instability.
Sure.
And so the political landscape is not very stable. It's sort of, it doesn't give you the room to plan long term.
Sure. Because
You
it
know?
could always do
It
this
could
or
always
that.
change. So
Yeah,
you could lose your money.
Yeah.
Just, I mean,
Right.
in a day or in a week, you could like lose yourself.
And has that happened many times? Has there been economic
It has.
crashes over the last 20, 30 years?
Yes,
Really?
definitely. I mean, over the last 2 years, there are lots of instances.
Well, so like in the
But-
United States in 2008, it was the housing market. There was a big scam with the mortgages and stuff like that. What caused the crashes in Nigeria?
I wouldn't say like big scale crashes happened, but we had like instances of terribly implemented policies, well intentioned but terribly implemented, that sort of led to loss of money. For example, in Lagos, in certain parts of Lagos, motorcycles were banned.
Why?
They were banned for, I mean, for good reasons, because of, we had traffic accidents and stuff like that.
Were
That's
motorcycles
where-
the answer to traffic congestion though? Because, or people were just too crazy?
They always have been in Lagos.
Yeah.
Motorcycle always have been the answer to traffic congestion and
Sure.
stuff like that. If you have less people using cars and more
Yeah,
people
yeah,
on
yeah.
bikes, it's easier for
Right.
people to pass through. But we also had like accidents and like traffic issues generally rising from so many motorcycles on the road.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the Lagos state government banned the use of motorcycles. I mean, yeah, it's good. You
Yeah,
could
yeah,
ban that,
yeah.
but the
Well-intentioned, but
implementation was
implemented- yeah,
terrible.
sure.
It was banned about within a week or two. It was implemented. So like,
Nobody had a plan.
fuck
to-
you. If
yeah,
you have
yeah,
a motorcycle, just fuck off.
Now, did they
So
give any
it's-
sort of credit to like buy back the motorcycle so
Nope.
you can get a?
Nope.
Really?
And then we had big businesses that ran on delivery with motorcycles,
Sure.
and so I mean, I'm sure they took
The
like,
ripple effect was just.
it was
incredible.
terrible for
Right.
them. I mean, we also had this major project. It was a coastal road, some shit like that in Lagos as well. And then, for some reason, the plan, had it passing through this coastal region, where some big businessman already had like property. So I mean, as a big businessman, he invested a lot of money. I was like instances like that of
So now people didn't see this as a manipulative way to sort of screw anybody up. It was actually well intentioned, but just poorly executed.
It depends
correct?
on how you look at it.
Right. There's
Yeah.
always somebody who thought that.
There's always like these theories that there are like backroom discussions
Yeah,
that
yeah,
went
right,
wrong and then
right.
led to this and that and that.
Right.
But I mean, as an I would say objective observer, it just seemed like to me. I mean, I'm not privy to these backroom conversations
yeah.
or whatever, but as a normal citizen, I sort of see a bit of the logic there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also thinking, I mean, yes, great, these policies are not the worst, but they could be implemented better. They could be, rolled into place
Sure.
in a more sensible manner that minimizes the costs.
So I'm going to ask another ignorant American question. Do you have like a normal democratic election there, like you elect the president? Or
Yes.
It's not like a monarchy or anything. Like
Oh,
that,
no, it's
right?
not. We have
It's
we have
not a
elections.
dictatorship or anything like that.
It's not.
And,
Not at
and
all.
how long has it been? Has it always been that way?
It has been that way since the first republic, since our first president.
Which is how long
I
ago?
don't know what it was. I don't remember now.
Like a couple hundred years.
No,
of
it
the
sounds like
United
an
States, or-
ignorant American. But I think it was in the 70s as well.
Oh wow.
Yes, since
In the,
I mean,
it's only been a republic since the 70s.
yes,
Wow.
we became independent in 1960. We had some coups, and I'm trying to like calculate through the presidents we've had. Oh shit, my bad. Between 1970s and the 80s, we had some coups and some military dictatorships, but I would say since 1999, we've had like democratically elected
That's it.
presidents.
So
Yeah.
what was it before the 60s?
Before the 60s, I mean, we were a colony, a British colony. Yes, so we became independent in 1960.
And was there a battle for that, or how did that even happen?
It was a more diplomatic
Just an agreement
process.
that-
Yes.
yeah, right.
And then we had like the British Empire sort of exits the country slowly. And on the 1st of October 1960, we fully became independent.
Wow.
In 1963, we became a pronounced federal republic, and we had, I think, a prime minister, stuff like that. We had some coups, some counter coups, blah blah blah, and then we sort of stabilized in the 90s.
So what was life like under the British occupation, though? Like, was it rough, or was it okay, or was it kind of a mix of both?
I wouldn't know. I wasn't born then.
Well, I mean, your parents can tell you
But
stories, right?
yeah, sure. They did tell us stories, but I mean, from the stories we hear, it's like it wasn't very promising
Okay,
for you as a citizen.
right.
If you weren't one of the elites, like one of the big families that had those, that sort of were in bed with the British.
Sure.
I mean,
So it's kind of like what I was asking before. Is like they prior to 1960s, people just there was a limit to how much they thought they
exactly.
could. Right.
Yeah. So there was like a ceiling.
So
and
so
if you weren't, yeah.
right. So the hope has gotten better.
It has,
Now,
yeah.
how long was the rough period until things have sort of stabilized? I mean, it seems like there's still stuff going on.
Yeah.
But did it take like 10 years, 20 years for things to sort of regulate
After the
themselves?
colony?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
About 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah,
So it was a 30-year
thereabouts.
rough
I would
patch.
say, yes. I mean,
and there was
politically,
coups and there was all sorts
they
of
had
different
lots
people
of those
jockeying
and
for-
wars and whatnot. And then in the 90s, we sort of started like having these stable, not stable, but fairly stable, relatively
yeah.
stable political. We had democratic elections every 4 years and stuff like that. And we still have that still now. But in a socio-economic sense, I would say that the ceiling still exists to some extent,
Yeah.
right? If you don't come from certain families and stuff like that, there are like doors that are not going to open for you. There are like opportunities that you will not be able to access. But with, like I said, with the internet and social media and people getting into these like new global roles in tech, in finance, in content creation and stuff like that, it's a lot more plausible for you to make it to the very top
Yeah.
without coming from an elite,
Sure.
without having an elite background.
Now,
So
how about schooling? How are the schools where you're from?
we have great schools in Nigeria. I think.
yeah.
Yes, we do have really good schools in Nigeria. We have the federal universities, which are like they are the gold standard. We also have some really good private universities. They are very expensive, but they sort of adhere to international standards, and so.
So what do you get for the money for going to an expensive one versus? So the federal one is free. It's free to go to college.
It is free.
So-
It's heavily subsidized
So what is the benefit of paying to go to a different college?
to go to the private
Yeah, the
colleges.
private ones.
Yeah, I mean I would say like the quality of the education in a general sense. I mean, if you are going to college, you are going to live on campus, for example, or off campus, but close to campus, and so the quality of life as a student is different because they are treated like that. And then you go to a federal university and you have to sort of fend for yourself and
sure.
do stuff for yourself. And then you have more people going there, so you have crowded classes.
Sure.
So things like that just sort of change the quality of the education.
Now, how about the how can I phrase this? Is it more prestigious to get
prestige.
a degree from someplace else, or would an employer, if you have a 4.0 from both, is it equal?
I understand. It depends on the school. The school dependent. So we have some federal universities that are really prestigious. We have like the University of Nigeria. We have the University of Lagos. We have Obafemi Awolowo University, University of Ilorin, where I come from. I have to mention that.
Yeah, of course.
And
Shout
we
out.
also have some really shout out to my school. We also have some really good private universities as well, like Covenant University, Babcock University. So it isn't really a federal university, private university thing. It's more like the specific schools. So some schools are known to produce people that have gone on to do really great things, and because of that, like employers in certain industries sort of are on the lookout for them.
Sure.
Yeah, and so that cuts across, the public and the federal, private universities.
So I want to rewind a little bit because we mentioned your parents lived under the British rule, correct?
Not
Or
really.
not so much?
No, my father was born a year after our
Oh, that's true.
independence.
I forgot how old I am. So that's true. I was
Yeah,
born
yeah.
in 1974.
Yeah.
So your parents. So how old are your parents?
It's my father's birthday today, by the
Oh,
way.
wow. Shout out, Dad.
Shout out, Dad. He's 64 today.
Okay, so he was there right about the switchover then.
He was there after the independence through the whole transition period, right? And he has not so good stories because he had to um, take care of himself.
Yeah.
He had to like push himself,
Well,
push
okay,
himself.
so let's rewind to your grandparents then.
Yeah.
And so have they told you many stories about their life growing up and how, what life was like? And are your grandparents still alive?
I mean, no, they did now.
Uh-huh.
God rest their soul. But I've heard stories about them and how it was like when they were in their productive years. And the recurring theme that I hear is like they placed this premium on good education. Like they genuinely wanted the knowledge for that because they felt like they could be more and they could do more because it seemed like then they were a lot more nationalistic than we are now.
Yeah.
And so they thought that the way to sort of better the country was to become as knowledgeable and as productive as they could be. So they had that premium that they placed on education. And our parents did the same as well.
And so would you say that's the general sentiment about from people your age is that education within the family is really pushed as a priority?
It still is, but it's waning now. We have more people that don't really think that getting an education, a formal education, is the way to sort of become the best version of
So
yourself.
has the disease of wanting to just be insta famous or
Exactly. You have that. There's that. And there's also the fact that unfortunately we have so many people that have all these degrees and are not really doing as well as you would think.
Well, that's the same thing happening in the United States. Is
Exactly.
you get $100,000
Yeah.
in debt and you can't get a job.
You can't get a job. So
Right.
it's like that in my country as well. And people my age are starting to think, maybe going to school is not really all that anymore. Maybe, just getting online and doing something.
Well, just real quick, in this house we're living in, there's people from every corner of the planet.
Yeah.
And being an ignorant American, I've spent time with people from lots of different places, I guess, but I never really thought about where they're from because you're just hanging out, right? And here we tend to talk about where we're from
Yeah.
and things like that. And this is the common theme. Every single person I've talked to has the exact same story, no matter where they're from. They're kind of losing faith in the job market and the culture is sort of starting to fade from like the strength of what it was 50, 60 years ago. And it seems like we're all more similar. Oh, you're good, buddy. We're all more similar than we are different in that way, no matter what country you're from. And the other common theme is that the government sort of oppresses or just the sentiment of the government or the way it's ran sort of oppresses the hopes and dreams of people. But it's interesting that your parents or maybe your grandparents had this real push for education.
Yeah.
But you got that, obviously.
Yeah,
Right? Now, so were your
obviously.
your parents had that? Or
Both.
did it come from inside of you?
Both my parents are school teachers.
Okay, well.
So I had no choice. And my grandfather, my mother's father, was like a head teacher.
Oh, wow.
So he's like the head administrator of a primary school.
Wow.
It's, I think, what you would call an elementary
Yeah,
school
yeah, sure.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And so, for that reason, he's like this big guy in my hometown. And so, that just gives you an idea of how teachers were perceived back then. He was like, if he's a head teacher, he's like,
That's a big deal.
second to the king. It's a big deal.
Sure.
But now, you could be a teacher, it's just some dude down the street.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we have that.
You're good. You're fine.
It's okay. So like, I have also spoken to people from all over the world and I have observed what you have. It's a general, our experiences are like convergent in that sense that the culture is shifting. But what I think personally is that culture is very dynamic and it's very malleable and it's very susceptible to the realities of the times we live in. And so naturally, because we have, up to 3 generations living at every particular time, you have people that are very nostalgic and stuff about their time. And because the culture is, of course, it's going to shift. When we have our children, we will tell them the good old days of Istanbul being like this, and then they would have like different realities. And so I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. I also don't think it's very noteworthy because the truth is whatever you do, change is constant, right?
Sure.
And so the culture is always going to change. And so it just behooves us generally to sort of learn as much as we can about history and like get the lessons we can from
So
them.
one of the diseases, social diseases in the United States is people who sort of are perpetual victims,
Yeah.
either because of what happened to their family 200 years ago, or currently, or because of they're gay, or because they're a woman, or because they're black, or because of whatever, and and whether it's true or not true is sort of irrelevant. It's the belief that you're a victim that limits sort of what you're capable of doing or what you even attempt to achieve. Is this sort of, because you touched on something when we first started talking, and before we returned to it, you said there's old money from the slave trade.
Yeah.
Now these are black families that had slaves, correct?
Yes.
Right. And so how do you sort of it's clearly not the slave trade you don't consider to be a race a racial situation. It's a financial or a power situation.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I mean, yeah. It's. I would say it's a bit of both.
So
There was clearly, I mean, for example, in the United States, for example, there was clearly a racial undertone
Sure.
to it. But when it comes to our, what it was like in Africa, for example, there was very much a financial component to
Sure.
it. So we had people that sold their own out for that purpose. And so there's that. And it's just a bit of
So now let me ask you this. So the families that are still benefiting from that old money, is there any pressure on them to sort of like share or make more opportunities and reparations for what happened, or is it just water under the bridge, or how are those families thought about in society?
I don't know. What I would say is that I mean, there's always the pressure for them to sort of, do good in the society, and they do set up foundations
Okay.
and charities and stuff like that. But they're living their lives,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you could be you could come from old money, from slave money,
Yeah.
and you would still live your life. You wouldn't be ostracized,
Sure.
sort of. You wouldn't be like majorly ostracized, but in a societal sense, we strongly hold this belief that they should not make reparations, but sort of contribute to the society.
Sure.
Because I mean, there's a lot of instability that came with the slave trade and stuff like that, and it has to be a collective effort for us to remedy that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, you guys clearly have the money. That obviously came from that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know.
So now, continuing with this like kind of sort of victim mentality, though, do you have segments of society? Let's just talk about people your age that have that. Like, I'm the descendants of slaves, and I'm still paying for that emotionally. It's like what do you call it? Like ingrained trauma or something like that. Do you have friends or people that you know who have these belief systems, or not so much?
I mean, in a general sense, most of the slaves that were extracted from my country were taken overseas to work, right?
Oh, right.
Exactly. So
right.
we don't really have too many people
Who
that
were
have,
enslaved in your country.
exactly.
Right.
But generally, the truth is that we still have this socioeconomic instability that resulted from that.
Sure.
And so it's like,
Well, they took away all the men.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that. There's also the fact that like trade was very lopsided, and you had like so many regions where we couldn't engage in trade, and it was like, it is what it is. I wouldn't say we have this victim mentality. I think it is still very much our reality
Sure.
up till now.
Sure.
That's, we still like there's still reason to believe that if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here.
Sure.
But there is still this collective efforts, I would say, especially within my generation, to sort of remedy all of those issues and like reach a level of stability where everyone at the very least can feel like they have the agency and the power to be whatever they want to be,
Sure.
regardless
Sure.
of their history
Sure.
or their familial affiliations and stuff like that.
So I want to talk about you specifically. Your whole family comes from like a education background, right?
Yeah.
So let everybody know kind of what you're studying and then what your end goal is, because it's pretty impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a background in pharmacy. That's my bachelor's was in pharmacy, and for my master, I mean, before I worked in research, pharmaceutical research, formulation science. I also worked in, a non-governmental organization. I majorly worked in production, that's pharma manufacturing, before starting my master's. But now I have sort of pivoted away from that, and now I'm sort of into material science.
Well, overheard something about nanotechnology or something
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
I overheard that.
Yeah,
What
so
was-
my program is basically in material science and nano engineering.
Oh.
And it's sort of like engineering stuff at the very minute nanoscale for certain applications, depending on your specialty. So for me, I am sort of focused on the biomedical applications of my research. So I'm developing a biosensor, an optical biosensor. So you have like really small structures that we sort of design and fabricate, and then they interact with light in a very specific way, which we then apply to sort of detect biomarkers to be able to diagnose diseases better and faster and more reliably in a sustainable manner as well. We could also, like, we are also exploring the application of this to environmental monitoring to sort of detect contaminants in the air, water, soil, plants, stuff like that.
Is this something that you're always having to like look for grants to fund, or how is this funded?
Yes, we have grants currently. We currently have, grants funding our work. But also, yeah, we are always, in academia, it's the case. You always are on the lookout for ways to fund your research and stuff like that. But, I would say in Turkey, since I arrived in Turkey, my experience is that there are so many opportunities for you to get your research, especially research like this that is focused on that.
So is Turkey sort of a hub for this specific type of research? Is that why you're here, or?
It is one of the reasons why I'm here. It is, I work in the Sabancı University Nanotechnology Research Center, and they are one of like the major international centers that conduct nanotechnology, nano engineering research. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm here. But also because Turkey has this very huge and thriving agricultural industry. So they have this thematic interest in any research that helps them to detect contaminants in the environment, because it goes in the plants. For example, you have pesticide residues in the plants that could harm people that take these products, and it could also harm like exports. And so any research that sort of addresses that, I think, is...
Well, it's interesting you say that, because just yesterday, somebody was telling me who lives here that other countries wouldn't buy the nuts from here because they were so carcinogenic.
Yes.
And I've been going to town on the nuts, and I was kind of excited to leave the United States because everything's poisonous there.
Yeah.
But I've been feeling kind of like garbage, And maybe it's just the adjustment to the different sort of carcinogens here.
It's possible.
But Istanbul is kind of filthy in a lot of ways. As far as the belching of the smoke from the cars and just the smoking. But I think maybe the quality of the food isn't so hot either.
For my research, it's like so many products that come from the farms out here. Some of them that we have tested sort of have too much pesticide residues on them,
Right.
and so this is an indicator that something needs to be done, and improvements need to be made in like implementing environmental health.
So,
monitoring
do you have a
policies.
focus? Like, best case scenario, what's the first thing that your technology that you help develop solves or cures?
And so, if my research is successful, we sort of give farmers the tools to like just on their farmland, like test their products and know exactly how much pesticide residues are deposited on them. So right from the source, they can control that before it gets to the market.
Do they have an interest in doing that, or are they putting all the pesticides just for to save money?
I think they do have. Pesticides also, like, they are inevitable in modern agriculture because they help to control like insects and stuff like that. But also, I think farmers also want to have that assurance that their products are of internationally acceptable quality, and that when they take these products to the markets, they will not be sent back by legal bodies and stuff like that. Because that is what happens. You have regulatory bodies preventing them from exporting their stuff because when they test at the end stage, they
Yeah,
find
yeah.
these pesticides.
Right,
And so
right.
if you as a farmer are able to test beforehand, then you are able to like iterate and find better ways to apply your pesticides and stuff like that. And it helps.
Do you have any sort of personal history that this is what you're passionate about? Is the food? Are you like? Do you have a particular love of healthy food, or did it sort of just happen to go this way?
I mean, I'm not a professional chef like you, so I wouldn't say my passion comes from like the food component. It's just my pharmacy background and the fact that having worked in the pharma industry, I sort of have this perspective of quality. I mean, we say something, it's like quality is not tested for, it is built into the product. So the closer your quality checks are to the closer it is in the production line, the better your results are. So if you are able to test at the point of production,
Right, sure.
it just makes everything
Everything better.
easier and it makes it better for everyone. So that's sort of like my reason for going into this sort of research. Also, I mean, I also have a bias because I have some experience in clinical practice as well, and I also volunteered during COVID for rapid screening
Oh, wow.
and stuff like that. So I also have like this bias for disease diagnosis, and so that's why like I'm having a hard time determining if I should do this or that. I mean, I'm thinking I could have my cake and eat it. So it's good that my research can address disease diagnosis at the same time environmental monitoring from the quality perspective. So that's sort of how my background has shaped. My
How
interest
many
now.
years are you away from going into the public market? How much more school do you have?
I mean, currently I am studying for my master's,
Yeah.
and I think that after my master's, I hope to start my PhD almost.
So you have a lot
immediately.
more school.
I do have a lot more school to go, but the good
But
thing
you can do work while you're getting your
exactly.
PhD.
So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
being productive at
Yeah.
the moment. I mean, I have my research going on at the moment, and you never know. I could make a really good breakthrough even before the end of my PhD. And
So now, how does that work though? Like, because I know that some people have made discoveries, but then the school or the company they work for kind of took it from them because they said, well, we
Yeah.
own the patent. How does that work with?
yeah, I mean, there are legal frameworks guiding these things. I'm not very familiar with them, but I know that, I mean, if you are employed by the institution or the school, then you have a contract legally binding you, and it also like awards sort of like insurance for their resources that go into your research. So it awards them some ownership of whatever it is that you produce with their resources, and so they could make a claim to that. I also know that as a researcher, I mean, you have rights as well, and you have like these practitioners that could help you exercise them.
Is there a private market for this, or are you not interested in that? Like, if you could flip a coin
Yeah.
and make way more money, but maybe help slightly less people, or help way more people and make way less money, which way would you flip for that coin?
Yeah, I mean, this will sound cringe, but
You want the
I'm
money.
more interested in like helping people
Uh-huh.
because I don't know. I'm not really big on money. I just want to be comfortable, right? I don't know what I would do with like lots of money. I don't know. It's just
Well, I mean, so so when you grew up,
Yeah.
like, did you ever want for anything? Could your parents provide for you plenty? Did you ever have like lean years where you didn't have enough money for food or
yeah. I
rent
mean,
or
we
things
had
like that?
we did go through like stuff like that. It was. I mean, generally, my parents are good to do. They generally were able to provide me with what I wanted alongside my siblings. But also there were times when we couldn't really like get the things we
Yeah,
wanted.
just cinch
But
it up
it's-
a little bit.
Yeah, but we're just comfortable. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and I think that has influenced me as well because throughout all of that, my parents were never anything but themselves. They were like just themselves. They were pretty much like they put a lot of effort into building a loving household,
Yeah.
and that sort of has influenced my perspective of what success is. The good times are going to come, the bad times are going to come, but success is basically how well you are able to stay grounded through all
Well,
of
so
that.
your mom and your dad were always there. Like, you had dinner together as
Yes,
a family,
yes.
and you did things as a family, and you weren't split up.
No,
and
never.
you're aware of how much that really did impact you.
Oh yes, I am.
What is the divorce rate like in your area? Or is divorce very prevalent, or are most families together? Would you
They
say?
are not very prevalent. they are not very prevalent. I mean, compared to the rest of the world, in the West especially. So we still have like not so high divorce rates in my country, but unfortunately, we also have like lots of unhappy marriages. Yes, so it's sort of like we have that problem.
Well, so you said that that Nigeria is a very Muslim prominent state. Are there still arranged marriages and forced marriages and things like that there, or is that not so?
It is not so popular, I would say. In some communities, we still have them, right? But in a general sense, I don't think we have that many.
So why do you think the marriages aren't so happy?
Oof.
Yeah, heavy question.
I mean, yeah, it is. But I mean, it's.
Well, is marriage encouraged? Like, is that something that guys and girls dream of when you're young? Is it promoted, or is it sort of not promoted so much as a romantic idea?
So in many of our cultures, we have this. We place this premium on this family, and like family is very much a part of our culture,
Sure.
right? And so one of the disadvantages of our culture evolving is that because we are starting to, grow out of certain aspects of our culture, somehow we are also starting to lose that
Yeah.
family identity.
Right.
And so because of that, there is this bit of friction, right? And many people are not, we do not enter into marriages with the same, I would say, state of mind
Sure.
as the older generations did. And so because of that, it's a bit of a problem now.
Sure.
And because, I mean, by and large, we are still very big on family. So divorces are not, they are still a thing of shame, I would say.
Sure.
And so
But
because
people
of
will
that,
stay, but not
so
necessarily be so happy.
exactly. So people
Right.
still stay.
Well, this is the
just
stories we
because-
heard about in the United States in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, where you didn't get divorced for anything, but you might hate your husband or wife
Exactly,
for
yeah,
many
yeah,
years.
yeah. We
at a
have
time.
lots of that. We
Yeah.
have lots of that, I think.
Huh.
And so,
So, what do you think the difference is with you then? That you kind of stuck to the idea that success in your mind is having a stable family and a happy family over having material things.
yeah, I mean, a lot of it came from my parents, right? They are the ideal that they have trained us with, because I mean, I watched them a lot growing up, and they sort of are this ideal couple in my head, and they have lived the ideal life.
Yeah.
But a lot of it still comes from our culture as a country, actually, because given the socioeconomic landscape of the country, many people in my country will still define success in financial terms,
Sure.
right? And also, like, people still have different personal goals and stuff like that. But I think in a general sense, we are a people that crave stability. We love stability. We want to be stable. We want to have this arrival mentality. Okay, I have made
made it, yeah,
Now I'm
sure.
fine. Now I can rest,
Right.
right? And that manifests in many different ramifications. So you have stability from an emotional point of view. You want a partner that is always with you. That's, you can like live your life through and together and stuff like that. We also have stability from a spiritual point of view. So we are a very, very, very spiritual people. We always want to have that rest of mind,
Sure.
that like peace that comes with spiritual grounding.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you look at our culture, ways of life, the things we do, our practices, you sort of see that proclivity for stability. We want to be stable. And so that has influenced a lot of us. But for me, my parents have also had this very huge influence on me. And it has like made me see the sense in having a stable family as a way to like live a happy life.
Now, is there a trend about like what age is the best age to get married? Like, is it promoted to go to school, get your degree, and then get married, or is it more normal to get married young and then work all your stuff out together?
I think the norm is to go to school.
Oh, really?
Go to school, get like, actually, the norm is to like go to school, get a proper, maybe not the best, but like just a steady stream of income and like a means to sustain a family. Because in my country, we start the family immediately after getting married.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so it's like,
So you should have your stuff settled.
you get
Yeah,
married
yeah,
when
yeah.
you're ready to have a family. Yeah, so you don't just get married and then go hustle and nah, we don't.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's.
So, do you have that too, where you want to be a dad? Like, that, do you have that?
I do.
Yeah?
But it scares me. I think it's normal.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone.
What scares you about it?
It just feels like I don't have it figured out yet. But I also take like succor from the fact that I don't think anyone ever has it figured out.
That's
before
what
the
that's what I was
start.
about to tell you. Is
Yeah.
that being a dad, there's this thing that happens where everything just works out. You know, the money that you didn't think was going to be there just magically sort of comes, that you were spending here just magically goes towards diapers all of a sudden. And all the things that you were confused about, you know you're a smart guy and you had a great foundation from parents. All that stuff that was maybe latent in your subconscious comes out. And parenting to me is, I mean, I've been criticized. I think parenting is pretty easy because don't beat them, you know, feed them good food, and have a schedule. You know, babies like knowing where they're going to be and what's going to happen. Dad's going to be walking the door at 6 o'clock or whatever. It's really not that complicated. I think the most complicated thing about parenting is that inevitably your parents did do something that you didn't like at some point.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard you try, the worst thing your parents ever did or said will pop out of you. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. And it's a shocking moment when you're, oh my God, I hated that when my dad said this or that. So your only obligation is to apologize as fast as you can and vow to do better. That's about as complicated as parenting is. You know, it's very natural. I do think that some people don't have that instinct to be parents. I think it's a safe bet that you're probably not one of those people. But it's less confusing than you imagine it's going to be because they pop out, and the love that you have for them so fast, all that stuff, your instincts kick in. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory once they're here. You know, and then the other thing too is you'll find out who you are. If it's more important to you to be gone 12 hours a day because of your research and put a lot of burden on your wife, or it's more important to be home and maybe make a little bit less money or whatever, you'll find out what your priorities are, and it's at that point you can decide, what do I want to be? You know, do I want to be the guy who's not home but providing a bigger house, or do I want to be the guy who's home and home for dinner every night and see the look on my kid's face? That's when you have to look in the mirror.
I mean,
And decide who you are.
That is one of the things that scare me, actually. I think my father has set this really high standard.
Yeah.
Because every time I want to be a dad.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have that joy that comes with it. But I'm also thinking, am I the man my father is? The man he was, obviously.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Well, this is a very strange burden because most people's complaint is they had no example of what it is to be a man from their father. Whether that he wasn't around at all, but he was just a really horrible example of what a man is, right? And so you have that weird burden of the bar is set too high.
It is set high,
right?
Really high. Yeah.
Now, I'm such a dad because I love talking about this. Your dad will look at you and he won't expect you to repeat all the same things. Your only obligation is to repeat as many of the good things he did and add a couple things and repeat as few of the things he did wrong. That's the only burden, is you don't have to do exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He'll never expect that of you. And I think you'll really be surprised. So my dad, for example, before he died,
Sorry.
whew, he told me I was 1,000 times the dad that he ever was. And he was a great dad.
That's crazy.
And I would have never expected him to say that.
Yeah.
And him observing me choosing to be there rather than make a lot of money for my son, he realized, wow, not that he regretted, because my dad was one of the poorest people in the United States when he was born during the Depression and made an incredible life for himself. But the sacrifice was he wasn't around a whole lot. Or when he came home, he was tired or angry or stressed. And he saw that I reversed my priorities and chose to be home, and every dinner was at home, and I denied jobs that would take me away from my son. And so while I might not have been as financially successful as he was, he saw that I put my priority in being a father. So your dad, I think you'll be surprised that he'll admire you for making changes that he, in retrospect, was, wow, maybe I could have done that. And he'll admire you for breaking from the mold, right? And so but you'll never know. But you'll never know until you get there. And so the interesting thing will be the things your dad compliments you on that you do different. that will be the really big surprise, right? That maybe you prioritized time over career, or maybe you prioritize career over time, and you never know what he's going to admire you for. But for sure, he's going to admire you if you do your job.
I hope so.
Right? But that's an interesting burden to have, because it's almost a blessing. Because having the bar set too high it gives you a certain sort of confidence or belief in, or the desire to be a dad, that people, a lot of people say, I don't want to be a dad because my dad was such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it does also give you like a cookbook, sort of, like a manual, but at the same time, it's a burden.
Well, sure, of course. But again, all that's in you, and it will come out of you in the most natural way,
Yeah.
So this is the perfect segue to the big question, is I want you to imagine being 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
And did you have a career path in mind at 17 years old yet?
It wasn't clear.
Okay.
It wasn't clear.
So you're out in the world.
Yeah.
Describe to me who you and your friends saw is the most successful person in your town. Where do they live? What do they drive? What do they dress like? What do they do for a living?
Wow.
So from almost like an ignorant view of success,
Yeah.
right? Who did you admire? Who did you want to emulate?
You know what? The truth is, when I was younger, like the people I really admired, I wouldn't say for their success, but just admired for their being, like for who they were.
So describe that person.
Were like my favorite teachers. Yes. I really like, and I mean the really intelligent and passionate ones. I would look at them and I would be like, I want to be like them.
Did your friends have that same sentiment? Or?
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. But I also have a passion for teaching, right? And I tell myself all the time, at the end of my career, I want to retire into the classroom.
Sure.
I want to go back to teaching and stuff like that. And for that reason, like the people I really admired when I was younger were not really the wealthiest, or I don't know, the people with the flashy lifestyle, but like the teachers that struck me as intelligent people. I just felt like they were not working on the ground, It felt like you have to do a lot to get to this level, to be able to break complex stuff down to these points, and like it felt like feeding you knowledge. I just felt like that was the pinnacle of whatever it was that drove me back then. But obviously, we also like admired people that could afford to like get whatever it is they wanted, right? So I had friends that would be like, this weekend we want to go out. We want to go to this place, do this and do that, and next week you meet them in school and they did do that. They just went there. It's like, oh, come on. I have to tell my dad like months in advance, and then there's going to be a condition like you have to come first, top of your class.
Sure.
If you don't come top of your class, that is not going to happen.
Was there any expectation for you to get a job at 16, 17 years old
Oh,
at
no.
all? Not at all.
No, not at all.
Really?
My parents never wanted us to get like jobs.
Really?
Nope.
Did your friends have to get jobs?
Some of them.
But generally, school is where it's at. Like,
Yeah,
just go to school.
Yeah, just go to school. Just study. Study. My parents never really wanted us to like be distracted by anything.
Right.
I did want to get a job. My brother and I have a like really close older brother. He wanted to get a job because we thought it was cool, to like get a job after school and stuff like that.
Or just have your own money to go to the movies or something like that.
It was like something like that. But my parents never wanted that. They thought like we would be distracted, and like they just wanted us to study as hard as we could and get good grades.
Now, I would be failing my other ignorant Americans if I didn't ask about the Nigerian scam call people.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the general consensus or view of? No, it's a two-part question. How do Nigerians feel in general about Americans or Americans' role in the world or the things that we affect? Or just, do you feel bad that we get scammed by Nigerian scam callers, or is it like we got you, or how, what is the?
Nah, it's not a we got you. I know for a fact that like Nigerians, especially Nigerians my age, are like we lose so many opportunities because of the scammers.
Really?
Right? Yes, we do. I
Like
mean,
what?
for example, I used to freelance on Upwork as a writer and a researcher, and sometimes you're speaking to a potential client, right? And I
And
mean,
they think
it
you're a
has
scammer.
advanced. It has
Oh,
advanced, and at a
wow.
final point, they're like, "Oh, like, what's your time zone? Let's schedule a call." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I live in Nigeria, so my time zone is West African." I'm
All
like,
of a sudden,
Nigeria,
that stops.
it's done.
Wow.
So many instances like that.
That's so
So
interesting.
for that reason, I personally have this hatred for like
That
the
makes
scam.
so much sense.
It does. It's like we like generally we do not like approve of them. It's not just that. We also like really detest the fact that it's just putting us in a bad light and it's
Sure.
just taking away so many
So
opportunities.
now,
from
does
us.
the government try to crack down on this at all, or because it seems to be a very big business?
Yeah, I mean, there's like there's a lot of corruption in the system, right?
Oh, so there is.
It does happen that these people they make a lot of money
Yeah.
of their victims,
Yeah.
and so they are able to bypass the system by just greasing the right hands and spending money here and there, and so it's a mess.
Yeah.
But like someone like me who is like ambitious and who knows that I know that I want to be at an international like level.
Sure.
I want my work to benefit people, not just from my country, but from many different countries.
humanity,
And so for that reason, I have to get certain opportunities that are not very open to me
Yeah.
for the simple fact that these guys do what they do, right? And so for that reason, it's like I would much rather like they
Hi.
be gone. Hi guys,
Good. Yeah, we're doing an interview. It's right.
it's good.
Just quick FYI, these are the Italians that I fed my prostitute last night, and they gave me the biggest compliment in the world that they didn't spit the food out. And somebody had seconds. One of you had seconds. I think, who had seconds? You had seconds. Yeah. Biggest compliment of my life. So thank you so much. Well, I'll see you back at the house.
Yes, Italian approved.
See you guys. Bye. So yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. So is somebody's first goal is to change your area codes, like to get a different area code so that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, some people like want to do that, but the truth is, you will always be Nigerian.
Yeah, right.
No matter what. I mean, you could come to Turkey, get a Turkish phone number. Your nationality is still Nigerian.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like it's like a stain
Yeah.
on our public, on our international image, right? And so it's a calamity. It's a disaster.
Yeah. So let's go back to the corruption. Because again, this is a lot of the conversations we've been having about our different governments in the House, is that my personal consensus is that no matter what the system is in place, it's corruption that always ruins it. So
Yeah.
maybe communism, maybe socialism, maybe capitalism would be great, but you add in corruption to any of it, and it just all goes to hell.
yeah, I mean, it corrupts everything.
Yeah. So
intended.
what is the root? Do you have the mob and gangsters and stuff like that in Nigeria, or is it mostly political corruption, like people hoarding money or stealing
Oh
money?
yeah,
or-
it's mostly political.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we also have like little gangs, not really like the mob level of barbarism, but we do have like some little gangs and interplays with political corruption, stuff like that. But majorly, it's as a result of people hoarding money, and then people sort of viewing civil service or public service as a means to like get money.
Right.
So it's
Right.
it's a bit of that. So like, for example, if I were maybe a high-ranking official in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, something, and I'm supposed to investigate a suspected scammer or something, I could just get some money off of him and then just clear him and stuff like that. So that's really what happens in the country, and that's how like bad people get away with stuff like that.
Man, it's just so consistent throughout the whole world. It must be a human flaw.
It is, yeah.
That at a certain level of power or money, something switches in our brains. And so that's the big question that I've been wrestling with since I've been in Turkey is, people have all sorts of different solutions. There should be no billionaires or socialism because then everybody's equal. But then you have to factor in the human spirit. and drive and aspirations and things like that, right? So have you thought to yourself, these things that you think about, like even just privately, like what do you think would be the not an all over solution, but what do you think would be the number one thing that could like make things less corrupt, like any sort of safeguard?
Oof. I think it has to come from the culture, the people,
Exactly.
right?
You have to prioritize.
We have to like really determine and really stay true to the things that we reward
Right.
as a people,
Right.
and the things that we like punish,
Right.
like viciously.
Sure.
For example, if you like worship or like reward people for the simple facts that they have money, then everyone is going to do whatever they can to get money,
exactly
right?
right.
But if we come together as a society to ostracize people that get money through illegal means, no matter how powerful or how rich they are, that just, I think, changes something
Sure,
in everyone.
sure.
It's like, societally bullying people
yeah.
to stop doing,
Right.
terrible things for money. It is probably the least actionable way to end corruption,
Sure.
but I think it's going to be the most efficient. if
Well,
we could pull it off.
but that's exactly it. Anything that happens overnight causes death and destruction for a
Yeah.
period of time, right? So this is the annoying thing in the instant gratification generation, where they would just want stuff to happen tomorrow, but change that's actually healthy takes time.
It is gradual.
And there's a saying, I'm willing to plant a seed for the shade of a tree I'll never enjoy, right? And that's a hard concept for people who
It is,
want
yeah.
to see that, even just for their ego. I want to see what I did, and so yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it's a lot of like, it's a web.
Yeah.
It's a web of so many things. I mean, eventually we have to come to that point where we have like sort of reset our moral compass,
Sure.
and we together like decide, okay, these things are wrong. Under no circumstances should this happen.
Right.
It's like, for example, like murder. I mean, most of us would agree that murder is wrong. Under no circumstances should you murder someone, right? If we could come to that sort of consensus about corruption, like no matter what the circumstances are, you should not
never
take
do-
what is not yours, right?
Right,
You shouldn't
right,
like
right.
abuse your power and or use your
So
position.
the question is, how do you set a safeguard where if somebody becomes rich, and clearly they, I think it's almost impossible not to like fudge the system to benefit you or
Yeah.
your business. What's a way to still inspire somebody to want to work hard and create a business and be successful, but also keep them being fair without taking away that will to be successful, right? Where is the cutoff point? Like, how rich can somebody be before they have to start paying back, or will it make it too difficult to make a business, though it's not even worth it because of the rules that's set in place?
I don't know. I don't think I'm not very knowledgeable about the economics or the financial subjects,
Sure.
but I do think that the one most likely way to curb excesses like these is to build strong institutions.
Sure.
Institutions that are not dependent on people, institutions that are self-sufficient.
Sure.
Because like you said, as people, as humans,
We're
we have
flawed.
that, yeah, we have that flaw,
Right.
But if we were to have like strong frameworks that do not serve any particular people, but the collective, and that are very swift and effective in detecting these illegal practices in a very fair manner, and like that punish them very severely, then I mean, little by little, as people, we are very risk averse, I think, and the richer you get, the wealthier you get,
Yeah,
the more risk averse you are.
Sure.
So it's
You want
like
to guarantee that
you want to
have your money,
guarantee
yeah.
that you're not going to lose your money,
Right.
or you're not going to like get punished for this. So
and
like,
you'll start to do worse and worse
exactly.
things.
So
with
it sort of corrects itself. I
Sure.
think if we were to have such institutions, then I mean, the people will adjust to that.
Yeah.
So
So something just popped in my mind. So in theory, the United States was created, and if you had to break it down to one word, it was freedom. Freedom was the one thing that we really wanted. We didn't want to be under rule of a monarchy, and there's all sorts of oppression. And so we wanted just freedom to live, and freedom to earn, and freedom to think what we want and believe what we want. That's theoretically why the United States was created, and why we went through all the steps to create the United States. Do you know what the driving motivation, if it was just one word to break free from British rule? What was the driving force? Was it freedom? Was it financial independence? Was it national pride? What would be, if you had to break it down, what was the motivation to make that change?
I wouldn't say that I know what the motivation was back then, but if I were to like make an educated guess based on my observations of us as a people, I would say it's pride, national pride.
Right.
We are a very proud people as Nigerians. You can see it in the way we walk, the way we carry ourselves, the way we talk, the way we converse, the way we think.
Yeah.
We always have these very lofty images of ourselves, right? And I suspect that was sort of behind the diplomatic end to the British colony, because we always wanted to be our own people, right? And unfortunately, that has also driven like other civil unrest.
Sure.
So we have people that the moment we don't feel together as a nation, right? We just want to be us, and we want that agency, that self-agency, that ability to be on our own, right? And so we have that national pride about us, and it's not just. I mean, it's something that other people have noticed about us. There are like jokes ongoing on social media. You hear something like, when you see a Nigerian, you just know they're Nigerian. When a Nigerian walks into the room, they're walking like they own the room, stuff like that. So we are a proud people. So I think like a lot of it was driven by our national pride.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say national pride. I would just say pride.
The pride.
Yes,
right,
pride as a people. Because, I mean, we're still not very nationalistic at the moment, but we still have that pride.
Yeah,
Sure.
So,
So that's like one defining way to describe us.
well, brother, I met a lot of people since I've been here, and you really inspire me a lot, and I'm really, really glad to know you, and I really appreciate you sitting down with me and doing this.
Really happy to. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to have done this. These were very thought-provoking questions. I mean, stuff that I hadn't considered previously. And I most especially appreciate the bits about being a father, stuff like that. It's something that bothers me a lot.
That's my passion. Is I think the sickness of the world all stems from bad parenting. I don't think I don't think it's possible to grow up to be somebody who abuses and brutalizes people if you were loved properly.
Yeah.
You can definitely get tempted that way, but it'd be much more difficult if you were loved properly. And I think you are a result of that. You emit strength of conviction and kindness and intelligence, and that's a direct result of not just your genetics, but the big question of nurture versus nature.
Yeah.
And your parents have everything to do with that. And so that's my I talk about my kid endlessly, and that was just my obsession. That was my contribution to the world. Is I'm not as smart enough to create nanotechnology, but I can make a kind, empathetic, passionate, brilliant, loving human to contribute to the world. And that's my contribution. So I think you're going to join that club.
I hope so.
I hope
so. Thank you so very much. This has been really great. And it means a lot to me as well, because like I said, it's my father's birthday today.
That's right.
He turns 64, so I mean it means a lot that you are complimenting him and his wife. So,
well, I appreciate you, brother, and thank you, Dad, for creating this kid. I really admire him a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.